right. If you are coming in, please move to the front. We have a lot of space. Today is a very significant moment for us at Progress Singapore Party. We have waited a very long time for this. Thank you for coming. This is our very first in-person election rally. To each and every one of you here witnessing this tonight, welcome, welcome. I'm Stella Stan, and I'm honored to be your MC tonight. Residents of Marymount SMC, residents of Karuppan SMC, thank you. Thank you for opening your doors. Thank you for your questions, your conversations with us, and your warmth. You welcome us. And if you're not a resident of Kebun Baru or Marymount, and if you came from across the island, from other places, thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for standing with us and proving that you are ready to listen to us. Thank you for bringing clappers. Thank you very much. That's to the spirit. Now, before we dive into the speeches, before the candidates come up, let's do something together. Take out your phones, all of you. If you have your phone with you, or many of you have your phones out already, you're already multitasking. Can I ask that you join us also on social media? You will find us at Progress Singapore Party on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. And we are Progress Singapore Party Official on YouTube. Also, just a little bit of a selling thing going on. Our baby Orticus, our mascot, are available for sale at the merchandise booth close to the entrance at the back. It's very cute. The latest trend nowadays is to hang a tiny baby plushie on your bag, especially for girls. It's very cute. I got one myself. It's very cute. But anyway, Singapore, are you ready to hear from them? Are you ready to hear from the people who are stepping up to lead our party with heart, with courage, and vision for the future? Can't hear you. Give it back to me. All right, let's get started. Put our hands together to welcome all the candidates on stage. One more round of applause for the candidates, please. So we have limited time tonight, but we promise that your time here, residents, will be well spent. And I'm going to kick things off now. The first speaker is someone who knows what it means to build from scratch, across borders and across industries. He's invested with decades of experience overseas, also started a camera manufacturing company in Shenzhen, China. From 2000 to 2023, he served as the Secretary General of the Singapore Manufacturing Federation. Definitely somebody who knows about keeping industries strong and competitive for economy. Let's give a warm welcome to Lawrence Peh.
Thank you, Stella. Good evening. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Good evening. Thanks for coming out tonight. My name is Lawrence, and thanks for coming out again. All right. So let me just kick off by introducing a little bit about myself. I'm Lawrence, and I've been working overseas for most of my life. And I was previously with Sony Electronics, and they posted me to faraway places like Dubai, Shanghai, Hong Kong, and even India. And throughout these places, I've held all sorts of positions in sales, in marketing, in product marketing, and then later in management, in leadership. So across that time, I was able to learn much about communication, the importance of it, and what it takes to communicate with various stakeholders. You may have the best intentions, but sometimes if you do not communicate properly, things just fall apart. Another thing that you might want to know a little bit about me is that, which maybe my family members find a bit difficult, is that I'm extremely comfortable in chaotic situations. I've always been put into very difficult situations in order to resolve them and try to communicate with the various stakeholders. I'm able to explain very complex policies, programs, difficult situations in very simple terms sometimes. Sometimes I find that maybe even within our government, sometimes I listen to Parliament, and simple things can actually become quite complicated. So many people have asked me, so if you're doing so well in an MNC life, why did you leave? I think that after a while, by the time I hit about 38, 39, I discovered that it is going to be very difficult for me to be able to proceed further in my career. And at that point in time, I was based out of Hong Kong, and therefore I was extremely close to the very industrialized city of Shenzhen. I found that place to be brimming with creativity. There wasn't a lot of government policy. The provincial government of Shenzhen takes a very hands-off approach, especially when it comes to creativity, and it doesn't stifle with bureaucracy. However, China is a place with a minimum wage, and it took me a while for me to understand, because I started a manufacturing facilities there to make very high-end, high-tech surveillance and video conferencing cameras. So it took a while for my managers to be able to explain to me, and I had various conversations with the local government regarding why do you have a minimum wage? Isn't that making things difficult for investors like myself? However, the Chinese government was able to explain two things to me, and they said it to me in no uncertain terms, and I appreciate it up till today. That, number one, with the existence of a minimum wage, the local workforce would be protected from very demanding, very difficult, and often, extremely often, unscrupulous employers. Their lives are not easy. I appreciate what my people do, but seriously, without a minimum wage there, why would I have to pay them even more? And that minimum wage increases every single year. But truth be told, I started the factory since 2008. It is still functioning today, and we are still paying more than 150, 200 people, depending on the situation, that very important minimum wage. The second reason for that minimum wage is to keep up with inflation. I think everybody knows that for quite a long period of time, about 15 years, China was experiencing something like 8-9% of growth per annum, year on year. But what a lot of people do not really report, but because of the minimum wage, they are buffered, that the inflation was also going up at an increasingly high rate as well. So the minimum wage serves to protect the local workforce. My staff enjoys their minimum wage because it is mandated by law. All across China, in all 30 over provinces, they have that minimum wage. And actually very few people know this. Shenzhen has the highest one, the highest minimum wage. So I think all this sounds a little bit familiar. I think that the cost of living in Singapore over the last, I look at the statistics, I think especially since 2018, just prior to COVID, the Singapore government has been growing at an alarming rate. And sometimes I feel that that growth policy, although I support that growth policy, has not allowed social policies to keep up as well. Singapore, we do not have that minimum wage. And I think that it is time that we hold our Prime Minister, Lawrence Wong, and he said on May 14, one day before he took over as Prime Minister, that he will look at all policies with his 4G leaders. And if necessary, he will slay sacred cows. You ask yourself, if Singapore doesn't have a minimum wage, so what do we have? We have what we call a PWM. We have a progressive wage model. Now that was enacted about 13 years ago by now. 13 years? All right. As the head of the Manufacturing Federation, I speak about it quite often. But if you Google it, you will understand that that was 12, 13 years ago. I think that at that point in time, our policymaker had the macroeconomic situation, environment to enact that. I think that's fine. However, ever since 2018, there has been breakneck speed of technological advancement. Wherever you go right now, you go into a coffee bean and tea leaf and you will find a robot returning trays. You will find everywhere that they are cleaning robots and security cameras, they are capable of 4K. So therefore, I'm telling you right now that productivity is not the most important thing. We have to keep up. I think that we have to look at the feasibility of a minimum wage. People ask me, close friends, my family, my daughter who is here tonight, why do this? Why run? I find that Singapore is at a critical juncture. I find that we could be possibly veering off course. The Singapore government will always tell you that they will adjust themselves, that they will check themselves, they will, I don't like to say it, but they say it, it's known as own self, check own self. I think that in any large organization, any management guru, they will tell you, that's not possible. Because there is no consequence of not doing it. What is the consequence of not changing? As long as they are dominant, as long as there is a dominant number of seats in Parliament, it is extremely difficult for a large organization like our government. And we have a large government. All right? Okay? Our civil service is excellent, but great doesn't mean immune. I've been in those meetings, I've sat in those meetings, and it is the very personification of an echo chamber. In closing, what I stand for job creation and sustainable growth, not one-stop growth. I feel that in Singapore, the unheard voice of the people is give me a job, not vouchers. Not just vouchers. Give me your vote tonight and elect me into Parliament, and I will speak to the ministries on your behalf. I speak their language. Vote for the PSP. Vote for Cheng Bock. And here in Marymount SMC, let's vote for Jeffrey Khoo. Thank you very much.
All right, how is everyone feeling right now after the first speech? Up next, for the second speaker, we have someone who is familiar with innovation, continuing on that theme. She's an intellectual property and tech lawyer, partner at Eldon Law, and has advised everyone from global giants to local Singaporean startups. She's worked with a range of clients, including international conglomerates and generic pharmaceutical companies with media owners. Let's give it up for Wendy Low.
Good evening, everybody. Can the residents of Marymount make some noise? And the residents of Karuppan make some noise. Thank you, thank you. My name is Wendy Low. I'm an intellectual property technology lawyer, and I sometimes give advice on employment issues. I was a partner with one of Southeast Asia's largest firms for almost a decade as its partner. And I'm now a partner with Eldon Law, which is associated with DWF, and that was one of UK's largest listed law firm. Tonight, I want to share about an important piece of law that advocated for it in my capacity as the head of PSP's Women Wing. That is Singapore's first Workplace Fairness Act, to ensure that all Singaporean workers are treated equally and fairly. Some background to this journey. I was volunteering with a women NGO in Hong Kong in the year 2000. That was when I first encountered that Equal Opportunities Commission. Hong Kong and Singapore are often compared side by side as small but economically charged city-states. I then wondered, why is it that Hong Kong can thrive while protecting their local workers, but Singapore often have to suppress the rights of workers in the name of being pro-competition? Over the years, I advised clients and friends on issues of workplace discrimination. They were often referred to the Tripartite Alliance for Fair and Progressive Employment Practices, or TIFAP, for help. But there is limited relief, as TIFAP was only there to administer best practices and guidelines. There is no legal penalty against companies who breach these guidelines, and TIFAP does not have the bite of the law. I saw the injustices on the ground when workplace discrimination is left unaddressed by the law. And let me share 3 poignant stories that exemplify why I have fought for this bill. For assurance, the names of those who have bravely shared these stories are anonymized so that I can be open about what other injustices I see on this ground. First, let's talk about Clara, a caregiver. Clara has spent more than a decade taking care of her mother, who was going through kidney dialysis. And this may be a situation that's not unfamiliar to many Singaporeans. She's deeply committed to taking care of her family, ensuring that her mother received the best care possible. However, she had to arrive at work slightly late on some days because of a caregiving duty. She thought she had the support and understanding of her boss for more than a decade. And Clara later went on maternity leave after the birth of her child. However, despite Clara's incredible dedication, she was replaced from her job abruptly and without explanation shortly after she returned from maternity leave. Clara later found out that her employer had chosen someone younger, citing performance issues that had never been raised to her in a prior evaluation. How would you feel if you were Clara? In this case, Clara was devastated, but she had chosen not to fight because her employer was a big company. This is not uncommon, because employees are often the David in the unequal fight against the corporate Goliath. The second story, I want to talk about my friend Raj. Raj is a brilliant young man full of talent and ideas. However, he has faced discrimination in the hiring process due to his mental health state. Before his job interview, he wondered if he should choose to declare his mental health to the prospective employer. If you were Raj, would you? Raj did, but instead of being appreciated for his honesty, he was met with skepticism. He was not called back for a second interview, and Raj is not alone. There are many Singaporeans who face stigmatization due to the mental health struggles. And this should not be a factor that impacts on their chances of employment. Mental health should not define one's capability or potential in the workplace. I've counseled and referred him to TIFAP, but there was limited recourse in the end. The third story is someone I'll refer to as Auntie Chan, a Singaporean cleaner and resident of Choa Chu Kang GRC. Auntie Chan had dedicated most of her life working as a cleaner in our bustling city. While Auntie Chan's work is vital in keeping our public spaces clean, she experienced bullying daily, not from a manager, but from her foreign colleagues who believe they are superior. Auntie Chan was well into her late 70s, but she was deployed to clean long flights of steps, huge glass panels along corridors. She was deprived of key work equipment, and because of that, she had to work overtime. Auntie Chan reported this bullying to her supervisor, but guess what? She was met with absolute silence and absolute indifference. While sharing with me, Auntie Chan proudly showed me the photos of her daughters on her phone. Her daughters have graduated, and both were raised through her blood and sweat and tears working as a cleaner. Auntie Chan told me she could not tahan the bullying anymore and had left within 6 months. She deserves to be treated with dignity and respect, just as anyone else. Unfortunately, by the time I met with Auntie Chan, she had found work with a pro-Singaporean employer and was happy in her new workplace. My dear Singaporeans, these stories of Clara, of Raj, of Auntie Chan highlight the very reasons why we have fought for the Workplace Fairness Act. We must come together as a society to ensure a culture of fairness, where Singaporean cleaners can stand tall, when caregivers are recognized for their love and sacrifice, and when mental health declarations are met with understanding and not prejudice. Importantly, the passing of the Workplace Fairness Act on 8 January 2025, which is coincidentally my birthday, so now all of you know when it's my birthday. That goes far beyond the passing of a law because it also speaks to the importance of political competition. When we trace back, an anti-discrimination law was first proposed by PSP when we first launched the Women's Wing in January 2021. This was alongside the Workers' Party. In the August of that same year, the then Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong then announced in the August National Rally speech that plans were there to enshrine anti-discrimination guidelines in the workplace into law. As such, I firmly believe that competition of ideas from credible alternative parties like PSP forces the PAP to act. Tonight, I therefore stand with my colleagues, Jeffrey in Marymount and Tony in Kebun Baru, to call you to vote for them. The media has called our West Coast leaders the A-team, but each and every of our PSP candidates are aces in themselves. And who is to say that PSP cannot be the ace student who will ace every ground that we contest in? From Marymount to Kebun Baru, from Choa Chu Kang to Gombak, from West Coast Jurong West to Pioneer, we will fight and ace, and with each and every ground and with your vote, we will be the A-team in your constituency. So my dear fellow Singaporeans, the time is now. Vote the PSP, vote for progress, vote for change. I thank you.
Thanks, Wendy. Are you all ready for the next speaker? Can't hear you again. You got to tell me you want the next speaker to come. From an auditor with seasoned experience. He used to be a stockbroker. Nala, as we call him, has spent 30 years navigating financial markets and now serves as president of the Society of Remisers. Please welcome S. Nala Karuppan.
My dear fellow Singaporeans, a very good evening to all of you. Wang Sha Hao, Singaporean. Selamat petang, rakyat Singapura. Iniya malai vanakkam, Singapore kudimakkale. I want to ask you all to give a pat on your back. This is the very first rally for Progress Singapore Party since its formation in 2019. You all are witnessing a memorial event. Also, I want to thank each and every one of you coming down to this rally. Thank you very much. I give a brief history of myself first. I'm Nala here, a chartered accountant, and I've been working in the stockbroking industry for 30 years. Not, this thing is 3 decades actually. So, the thing is that the reason why I joined Progress Singapore Party, if not for one and only man, Dr. Cheng Bock. He's a good person with a caring heart. He has been a member of parliament for 26 years. And even when we are walking the grounds now, people still remember him. That is the mark of a man. I was the first treasurer of Progress Singapore Party. So as a chartered accountant, you elect us to parliament. We assure you we look after your funds very well. We have integrity just as the rest 12 of us. Dr. Chan feels that Singapore has lost its way. I still belong to the generation where I respect our founding fathers. Lee Kuan Yew, Dr. Goh Keng Swee, Rajaratnam, Toh Chin Chai, and many others. They have the heart for the people. They understand your issues. I think Singapore now, they cannot feel the ground because they are too comfortable at the top. We want to change that. Will you change for us? Okay, another issue that is close to my heart is job priority for Singaporeans. I, as a president of the Remisers Society of Singapore, I see many of my fellow friends have been displaced because of digitalization. So I'm fighting hard and also negotiating with the authorities to transform their jobs. Likewise, I will do for you all. Those in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, many jobs have been displaced. To be fair to the government, they have upskilling programs. And also they give quite decent subsidies. But the problem is what? After upskilling, then what? Is there a job for you? So this is where I think is a roadblock. You send all 13 of us to parliament, we will change that. Also, I feel for our younger Singaporeans, our children, those who graduated from university and polytechnics. After studying a good 15 years, 14, 15 years, when they apply for a job, they can't get one. Of course, the top end, yes, they can get. But how about the middle and the lower end? They can't find a job. And to make ends meet, they do Grab delivery. Nothing against Grab delivery. But is this what they are trained for? So my question to you, Singaporeans, do you want change? Do you want the cost of living to go down? Do you want PSP to be in Parliament? Vote for PSP. Vote for PSP. Vote for PSP. And I'm a patriotic Singaporean. When I say Majulah, you all say Singapura. Majulah. 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 Singapura. Thank you. Saya terima kasih. Mika nandri.
Well, that was something, Nala. Okay. I have to move on because I have to keep discipline with the time. With over 30 years in safety and training, he's helped protect lives in high-risk workplaces, including refineries and plants. Let's give it up. My colleague is here, Abbas bin Kasmani.
Good evening, fellow Singaporean. Ni hao. Inaya wadakam. Malay wadakam, sorry. Assalamualaikum. Allow me to speak in Malay, very short but very crisp. Negara kita telah berkembang dengan baik sejak merdeka. Akan tetapi pekerjaan senior kami telah menyaksikan telah tak ada kerja, hilang kerja dan mereka harus berbesaran umur yang masih muda walaupun 45 tahun ataupun 50 tahun. 4G bercakap tentang Singapura yang lebih baik untuk generasi akan datang. Masa depan yang bina atas korbanan mereka yang terdahulu. Orang-orang yang membina negara ini adalah mereka senior, pekerja-pekerja senior juga yang dahulu sampai sekarang. 4G sentiasa melukiskan gambaran peralihan generasi, lancar di pekerjaan mana pekerja, pengalaman dalam anggun, tapi mengetepikan beri laluan pada tenaga, segar, semangat, inovatif dan bakat asing. Ia mengabaikan kehilangan besar pengetahuan institusi pekerjaan kanan atau senior. Jadi, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, kami PSP akan membawa perkara ini di Parlimen mengenai pekerjaan-pekerjaan anda. Saya ada pantun dan bunyinya ini. Dulu kampung, kini HDB. Hidup mencabar, kos pun tinggi. Ingin perubahan, mari bersatu hati. Undilah PSP, vote for PSP. Thank you. And now I'll speak in English. My name is Abbas Kasmani. I'm working as a safety practitioner and training. I'm a senior worker like you, most of you. So we built this nation as senior workers with our bare hands, our sweat, our sacrifice, our skill, our dedication. Above all, we believe in Singaporean spirit. But our journey not end there. I have one grandson, and I believe I have responsibility like you do, leaving behind better Singapore for our grandson in the next generation. But PAP 4G talks about leaving behind better Singapore for the next generation, which build in sacrifice of Singaporean of the past. That is you. That's your grandfather. But I ask you this. Have we given appreciation by them? Yes or no? No. Have we been given respect to the people who made those sacrifices? Yes or no? No. I've seen too many of our seniors losing their jobs, quietly pushed aside, not because they are not unwilling to work, but because they are no longer seen as useful. This is wrong. Government paint a picture of smooth generational transition, where older workers step aside for youth and foreign talent. My older workers told me that retirement is reward, but to many, I feel it's a punishment. Forced to exit into financial uncertainty and social isolation that most seniors are facing now. Many workers don't have enough for retirement, but cost of living keep rising. How can we help our older workers cope with this when they don't have enough for retirement? And so, let me ask you, do you want change? Do you want senior workers to be respected? Please vote for my colleague and our colleague, Tony from Kebun Baru and Jeffrey Khoo from Marymount. Thank you.
Can we have another round of applause for the speakers that came up on stage just now? Abbas isn't just like a valued member of our team, he's also a very loving husband. Okay, our next speaker. Raffles Girls' School, then Raffles JC. Check. And US Law. Check. Called to the bar in 2011. Check. The Civil Service. Check. So what is the next check? To check on the government! Please welcome Stephanie Tan.
Đại gia暗暝好，大家晚上好，大家晚上好。我的名字是陈芬妮，现今37岁，是国大毕业的律师。在成为妈妈之前，我在国防部工作。2016年有了孩子以后，为了有更多时间照顾孩子，我想从全职转做兼职，但是不被批准。之后我就当了全职妈妈。今晚我会用英文演讲讨论新加坡人年轻人现在所面对的一些问题。Good evening, fellow Singaporeans. My name is Stephanie Tan. Tonight, I'm going to talk to you about the problems faced by young Singaporeans today and the solutions that PSP has for these problems. I'm 37 years old. I'm a mother of two, aged 7 and 10. I graduated from NUS with a law degree, and I was called to the bar in 2011. I met my husband and I applied for a flat together with him, and we were fortunate enough to get a flat on our first try. But we waited about 3 to 4 years before our flat was ready. So I completely understand why many young Singaporeans are frustrated about the long waiting times and the high cost of flats. I would not have felt so ready to start a family early if I did not have a house of my own. And I was blessed to have met my husband early and settled down early with him. But not everyone meets their life partner that early on in life, and not everyone necessarily wants to do that either. We are all different, with different priorities, dreams, and aspirations. We need to give our young people more housing options so that they have more flexibility in life. PSP's solution for this is the Millennial Apartment Scheme, and we have proposed this in Parliament, that HDB should build some affordable, high-quality rental flats for singles or couples to rent for 2 to 5 years. This will allow our young Singaporeans to have another affordable housing option regardless of the stage that they are in life. With this scheme, our young boys will not have to rush into proposing to their girlfriends just so that they can join the BTO queue early. Because marriage is a big commitment. It is not something that we should rush into. If a couple is married but their flat is not ready yet, they can apply to rent a millennial apartment. There will be no need to move in with the in-laws or spend a lot of money on rent elsewhere. We also propose that singles should be allowed to buy flats once they are 28 years old. Singaporeans are getting married later, if they even do so. And this is going to happen whether or not you allow them to buy flats at 28 or 35. Marriage is a personal choice, and we respect that choice. Singles who have the financial ability to purchase a flat should not be prevented from doing so only because they are not married. For many years, the PAP government has resisted calls from the opposition to lower the eligibility age to buy flats. Well, they can do that because there are 83 of them and only 12 of us in Parliament. If there are more than 12 of us in Parliament, the PAP government will have to take your concerns more seriously and take action. The PAP calls itself the People's Action Party. But over the last 5 years, do you think that they have been taking sufficient action for you? No. PAP ministers have constantly said, oh, our HDB flats are affordable. But what is their definition of affordability? Is their definition the same as yours and mine? They like to point to BTO prices as being affordable, but not everyone qualifies for BTOs, and not everyone is successful at balloting for a BTO flat. So they have to go and look in the resale market. But what has happened to our resale market? Resale prices have increased by 50% since 2020, but median incomes have only increased by 21%. This kind of situation we have today, where flat prices increase much faster than incomes, is not sustainable. Because even if we can afford the mortgages, what will we have left at the end of the day for retirement? The government has been repeating that most couples can afford their BTO flat mortgages with little or no cash outlay. But if all the loan payments are coming out of CPF, how much will be left for our retirement? And if you do not have enough money to retire, the government will just tell you, downgrade to a smaller flat. But is that what you want? If loan payments are so high, what happens if something unexpected happens? What happens if one spouse loses his or her job? What happens if one spouse needs to become a full-time caregiver, maybe to an elderly parent or a child with special needs? When I decided to become a full-time mother, my husband was in the transition of changing jobs. It was a tough decision to make for us back then, and I remember how we were calculating whether his income alone would be sufficient for all our expenses, including our high monthly mortgage. Well, ultimately, we agreed that we would adjust our lifestyle accordingly to a single income family, but that was a decision we made for our family based on our own values and beliefs. But everyone will have different considerations and priorities in life, which we respect. The point, though, is that these types of decisions are made more difficult when housing prices are so high. And that is why PSP has also proposed our Affordable Homes Scheme, where we believe that owner-occupied flats are a public good that should be treated like other essential public infrastructure, such as schools and hospitals, which are not charged land cost by the government. Under our Affordable Home Scheme, HDB will no longer need to pay land costs used for building flats into Singapore's reserves. HDB will sell new flats to Singaporeans at a price equal to just the construction of the flats, plus a premium determined by the flat location. So even though the AHS flat prices will be much lower, it will not crash the resale market, because we will only allow AHS flat owners to sell their flat after repaying the land cost that was not charged back to HDB. So it is not true if the government says that PSP's AHS will crash the resale market. My fellow Singaporeans, next Saturday, we will be standing at the ballot box casting our one precious vote. Singapore has come a long way over the past 60 years, and I appreciate what past PAP governments and leaders like Mr. Lee Kuan Yew have done for us. But we cannot be voting based on past successes and achievements forever. We need to vote for present competent leaders who can lead us in solving the problems that we are facing right now. Vote for the PSP. 亲爱的同胞们，下星期六，我们将在投票箱前投出我们珍贵的一票。新加坡在过去的60年里取得了许多进步，我也感激历届人民行动党政府以及像李光耀这样的领导人为我们做出的贡献，但我们不能永远根据过去的成就来投票。我们需要选出能够带领我们解决当前问题的有能力的现任领导人。5月3日，请投新加坡前进党一票，与我们一同携手前进。谢谢。
Thank you for enthusiasm. Thank you. Means a lot that you cheer for us. Coming to this rally, a lot of our colleagues, we've been very touched and heartened by the words of encouragement you gave to us. But I'm also a little bit of a disciplinarian here on this stage because I need to keep to the time. So we need to, move on. So our next speaker studied at Cambridge University on a Singapore Armed Forces scholarship and served for 9 years before becoming an entrepreneur. Over the last 2 decades, he has co-founded several businesses in the education and the gaming industry. Please give it up for the candidate for Karuppan SMC, Tony Tan Lei Tiam.
大家好，欢迎你们来参加前进党的群众大会。让我首先谈谈选民所关心的课题：高昂的生活成本和经济的不确定性，这些问题持续给我们的社会带来沉重的压力。这些挑战会影响我们的社会结构。确实，有些新加坡人跟不上节奏。 有些会感觉被社会遗忘或淘汰，人民担心成本不断上涨而无法跟上，担心医疗费也在上涨，担心就业机会，担心未来，担心孩子的未来，担心房价昂贵，担心退休后的开支。去年 政府多收税款60亿，这样会给新加坡人带来不必要的经济负担吗？尤其是我们年老一代，一些普通用品的价格都上涨了。新加坡需要更多反对党在国会进行更多讨论。我们可以检查政府如何花费 纳税人的钱，例如政府拨出50亿新币来发展新加坡股票市场这项，我想提出2个问题：第一，这项投资的收益会不会是短暂的？第二，是关于这项计划的时机，为什么是现在？我们为什么要在这个时候做这件事情呢？在目前生活费高涨，新加坡人眼下更需要的是直接的经济资源。下一个是 Simpligo 卡无法知道卡存储的钱，另一个例子是使用手机转账。我们老一代的人可能不知道怎么样做，甚至可能因为被骗而失去了钱。我们应该在国会政策提出之前进行更多的辩论和讨论。就业机会会与资格挂钩，在新加坡，我们都希望年轻人有更好的资格，比如文凭或学位。长远，我希望新加坡政府可以帮所有新加坡年轻人至少获得文凭 diploma。小学阶段的教育最为重要。前进党相信小班教学能带来更高效率的学习效果。新加坡是一个富裕的国家，我们绝对更全面地栽培我们下一代。如果需要使用我们的储备金，我们应该考虑这样做。我们的年轻人是我们的未来，我们最宝贵的资源。下一部分的演讲是专门对哥本巴鲁选民说的。对于在线上观看或无法到场的朋友，我先向大家道歉。由于资源有限，我们只能在新加坡中部举办一场群众大会。选择在公教中学是因为这里的场地座位数更高。大家好，我是陈礼天 Tony， 前进党哥本巴鲁候选人。若我们获得您的信任和委托，我将会在哥本巴鲁设立前进党办公室。我们会继续跟现任管理公司合作，确保连续性。我们会定期与居民交谈，了解你们的需要。无论是建造通往巴士站有盖走道，解决屋顶漏水、积水问题，还是在黑暗小巷中更多灯光，我们都会尽力推动落实。我也将检讨服务与杂费的使用状况，确保用于清洁、维修和美化的每一分钱都花得其所，物有所值。我们前进党会在哥本巴鲁成立爱心团队，关心每一个居民 People Care， 关心独居或单亲者 Single Care， 关注个别紧急需要 Personal Care， 如老人因为膝盖的问题，或他因为有些原因走不了路、行动不便的病患，年轻的家庭忙于照顾老人和孩子，我们也可以提供帮助。在所有的计划中，我将亲身投入、亲力亲为。我有意成为一位全职国会议员，全心全意地为大家服务。大家好，我是 Tony， 虽然是我的老母饲我大，拿到奖学金，我真感谢新加坡有这个机会，也是 MP 有这个工作，我会做 full time。希望你支持 PSP。我能隆重地为你讲话，投 PSP 一票。Hello, fellow Singaporeans. Thank you for taking the time to be here to attend the rally. Thanks to the volunteers, PSP team members, and those in uniforms. Without you, there will be no rally today. I'll talk on 3 pointers today. Point 1, how we can ensure that no one is left behind through education. Point 2, why there's a need for greater debate on policy in Parliament. And finally, I will talk about how PSP team in Karuppan intends to serve you. Education pulls me out of poverty. Education teaches a person to fish and empower a person. Job opportunities and employability are directly correlated to educational qualifications and skill. We need to love our young people, not just support them. Our fertility rate is low. This is very well a symptom of our young people losing confidence of their future. Give them the best education that they want in their formative years and give them the tools for writing their life stories. We need smaller class size to support our young ones in primary and secondary school, more customized learning, more individualized care for the students. With fewer students, teachers can devote more time efforts into looking after the mental health of each and every one of our kids. Also make PSLE optional. To love our next generation who are still in their schooling days, it is not sufficient to say we have a system and pathway, but how is that system and pathway helping our young people succeed? Let Singapore set a target, equip all our students 100%, at least a diploma, if not a degree, so long they are prepared to work hard. If your GPA at ITE or your grades at O-level are not good enough for Polytechnic, what can we do as a country to help you? Similarly, for our Polytechnic graduates or JC students seeking admission to the 6 autonomous universities. If GPA or O and A-level results for specific results are not good enough, can they just repeat those results or modules? Are there ways we can do so by alternative assessment method like doing internship or working or just repeating the module or subject in the next term? Let us also review our assessment system to ensure our exam papers are set at the same standard as other international exams. Allow our students to use international exam results, such as Cambridge International O or A-level, as admission criteria for Polytechnic and university, just like the international students. More importantly, increase the enrollment of our polytechnics and universities. Generations of Singaporeans have built this institution to be world-class for our people. Our students should be entitled a place if they are prepared to work hard. Love our young Singaporeans. I know all these proposals will cost us tons of money. Love is an unconditional commitment to seek the highest good for our young. Love is thinking about the young people. What is good for them? Love requires sacrifice. Now we ask the country to sacrifice for us. We have accumulated a lot of financial reserves as a nation. We're proud of it. But what is the value of accumulating these resources if we do not have a next generation to pass on to? We should invest this reserve in our young people. Provide each and every one the best possible education. I would argue that our young people is our most precious resource. With a falling fertility rate and aging population, each and every one of our young people, when grown up, will need to shoulder a heavier load than our generation. Equip them with the best possible skill so they can be the best fishermen. Our young is our reserve. Next, I'll be talking about the need for more parliamentary sittings and debates. PSP Mr. Leong and Ms. Hazel has pushed the boundary. They have filed a total of 700 questions, 14 motions, more than 30 speeches on legislative changes as only NCMP. Guess what they can do if you send the entire lot as your MP? Let us cite some examples why more debates are required. Simply Go issue creates anxiety for many users, especially our elderly folks. User performance review had indicated there are concerns people are unable to check the balance stored in the card. But this was ignored in the rollout. Without the oxygen or publicity, I'm not sure if the government will U-turn. I hope our government adopt a more proactive approach and have more discussion in Parliament, especially on technological changes that affect our elder folks who may be less tech-savvy. There should also be more debates on how taxpayer money should be spent. One such allocation is $5 billion on the development of Singapore's stock market. Two questions to raise. First, effectiveness of the 5 billion vis-a-vis market capitalization of 876 B, and whether its effectiveness is short-term. Second question, is the timing right? Why are we doing this now? Aren't there more pressing issues like the high cost of living as well as the prevailing economic uncertainty? My concern is about the priority of our allocation of our taxpayer money, which in my view should be used to address the high cost of living. The $5 billion should go to that, not to the stock market. Because of all these reasons, we need more PSP candidates or MPs in the parliament. Please vote for Marymount. Please vote for Pioneer. Please vote for Bukit Gombak. Please vote for Choa Chu Kang. Please vote for West Coast. This final part of the speech, it will only be for residents of Karuppan. For those watching online are unable to join us, I'd like to apologize. Due to limited resources, we could only do one site in the central part of Singapore. Catholic High was selected as it offers a higher capacity. Hi residents of Kebun Baru, should we have the privilege to serve you, we will set up a PSP office in Kebun Baru. We will oversee the maintenance of cleanliness and the provision of amenities in the town. We will hold talks with residents to find out your requirement so they can push to fulfill them. Maybe sheltered walkway to the bus stop, roof leakage, ponding issue, need for more lightings at night. We will also review the SMC monthly fees, which could be spent on cleaning, maintenance, landscaping. We would ensure your money is spent wisely and optimally. Our PSP proposal for Kebun Baru are as follows. I will start an educational mentoring program for every student in our constituency. It is about helping each and every one of our young ones write their own story. It is to mentor and nurture each young Singaporean to find out what is his or her affinity and ability so that we can collectively provide the opportunity. PSP would help our sandwich generation juggling the demands of their elderly as well as their young children. We will start a PSP care team to support this family to ease their burden. PSP wants to help our singles, whether single family or those living singly or seniors home alone. We will identify these groups and routinely do visits to ensure their well-being. PSP will help every elderly, especially those who may suddenly have mobility issues. Sudden mobility issues can leave seniors feeling helpless. My walkabouts reveal gaps in the current system. The PSP care team will fill this gap, render immediate assistance when necessary. PSP will also help the sick. From bringing folk to ferrying them to the doctor, PSP care team will integrate and work with all clinics in Kebun Baru to ensure no one is left struggling when too sick. In short, the PSP care team focus on people care, single care, personal care, will launch the Love Your Neighbour program, dedicated to serving the community, ensuring no one is left behind. In all these programs, I will be directly involved, both hands and legs. I intend to be a full-time MP. I will put in my utmost efforts and serve with my heart. I will serve the residents every morning together with the PSP care team to ensure your well-being. In the evenings, aside from MPS and holiday celebration, we will host events from soup night, ping pong, chess, anything that you like, to bring people all together so that we can share, chit-chat, and build a community. And finally, thanks for me chattering along. Finally, I'm Tony Tan Lei Tiang, PSP candidate for Kebun Baru, raised by a single mom, grateful to Singapore, seeking your vote, seeking to serve you. Thank you.
You just heard it from Tony, the candidate for Kebun Baru SMC.
Can you MP?
Can we have one more round of applause? I'm going to ask you to clap more now. And even louder. Well, this is the moment some of us are waiting for. Please put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen. He's just arrived. Give your biggest welcome for our chairman and our founder, Dr. Tan Cheng Bock.
Love you, Dr. Tan!
One more round of applause for Dr. Tan. Thank you. Now back to the rally. Candidates, please take your seat. Oh, I'm so sorry. On to our next speaker. He's read law in the UK and worked there for many years in various sectors, from private companies to a regional development agency. After returning home to Singapore, he worked in the as an in-house legal counsel and is now the managing director of a condo management firm. Please welcome Sunny Ismail.
It's still sunny even though at night.
Good evening, residents of Kebun Baru and Marymount. Tatia Wan Shanghao. Selamat malam. Vanakkam. My name is Sunny Ismail. I stand before you this evening as a candidate for the Progress Singapore Party. Currently, I am the Managing Director and in-house legal counsel of a condo and facilities management firm, which gives me first-hand experience in managing the expenditure as well as dealing with the issues they face, like cleaning, landscaping, mechanical, electrical, plumbing matters, lift maintenance, fire safety, and others, which are no different from running a town council in the upkeep and maintenance of common areas within HDB properties, etc. Besides my facilities management experience, PSP has many other members and volunteers who are experienced in running town councils. Dr. Tan Cheng Bock, for example, set up one of the first town councils in Singapore. So please, Kebun Baru and Marymount residents, rest assured that your town will be well looked after if you elect a PSP MP. Tony Tan, Jeffrey Khoo. My fellow Singaporeans, tonight I would like to talk about an important issue: how we can improve the work-life balance of all of us Singaporeans. I shall start with a simple question to everyone here. What is the point of working so hard if we never have time to live? The government can and should do more to help Singaporeans improve their work-life balance. That is why PSP has made many policy proposals in our manifesto to improve work-life balance. Everyone might present different challenges on the surface, and I hear the underlying desire. Less work, more life. The introduction of technology, as useful as it may be, has sometimes blurred the lines of official working hours as bosses and company group chats continue to buzz even after you've clocked out of the office. Work-life balance may seem to be the new buzzword nowadays. But what does work-life balance really look like? Is it really possible in Singapore? I'm here tonight to tell you, yes, it is possible. Having many years of experience abroad, I hope to be able to take some solutions that have worked well elsewhere and tweak it to apply to our Singaporean context. If elected, one of the things that I will take the lead on is to create a stronger work-life balance here, right here in Singapore, our home. Oh yes, we can. We'll start off with implementing the right to disconnect. PSP suggests that this policy be progressively introduced. We want to pass laws that stop after-hours work messages, unless, of course, it's an emergency or you've consented to it in advance. Your evenings should belong to you and your family. Time with your loved ones is not optional, it is essential. Next, the increase in the number of public holidays from 11 to 14, with one new holiday for each of the 3 major ethnic groups. In 1968, the government reduced the number of public holidays from 16 to 11 in order to increase productivity. Everyone in Singapore can benefit from having more public holidays. PSP suggests, for now, adding one for each major ethnic group, namely the Eve of Chinese New Year, the second day of Hari Raya Puasa, and Thaipusam. Many private sector employees already give their employers already give their employees half a day off on Chinese New Year's Eve to enjoy reunion dinner with their families. It would therefore not be much of a stretch to extend that to a full day off. The Muslim community would deeply appreciate having an extra day during Hari Raya Puasa. A second day would allow more time for visitations, bonding, and honouring traditions. This year, I had the privilege of attending Thaipusam. And let me tell you, it was a sight to behold. If Thaipusam was made a public holiday, more of the Hindu community could take part. And beyond that, we can elevate it into a major cultural event that draws tourists and showcases our diversity to the world. As an employer, I know that more public holidays will benefit the staff and, to put it simply, happy employees equate to happy employers. Now, ladies and gentlemen, having said all that, if the government has objections to this, it simply means that they do not recognize the efforts and sacrifices of our grandparents and parents to bring Singapore to where it is today. PSP calls for statutory working hours to be reduced from 44 hours to 40 hours a week.
Yeah, good idea!
The statutory 44 hours a week is a legacy of the 5.5-day week, which was abolished for the civil service in 2004.
Singapore has since moved to a 5-day work week culture. A strong economy shouldn't come at the cost of our health, our loved ones, or our mental well-being. PSP also calls for the minimum number of days of annual leave to be increased from 7 days to 14 days. We all deserve the time for family and to take breaks to recharge ourselves. Ladies and gentlemen, work-life balance is not just a personal dream, it is a national priority. Because a tired nation is not a growing one. So, my dear voters, if you believe that rest is not laziness, time with family is not optional, and living well is as important as working hard, then vote for a party that fights for your time, your health, your dignity. Vote for the PSP. Thank you.
Thank you for your support. Thank you for your enthusiasm. It really heartens all of us, all our colleagues here at PSP. Our next speaker, I need to introduce him. He's a tech veteran who was trained as an electrical and computer engineer in the US, founded 3 tech startups in the 90s, and played a key role in establishing Red Hat in Singapore. He was also an adjunct professor at NTU, where he taught about open technologies. He's taught, he's built, he's led, and now he's ready to serve Singaporeans. Please give a warm welcome to Harish Pillay.
Good evening, Singapore. I can hear you. Good evening, Singapore. All right, well done. My name is Harish Pillay, and I am a candidate for Bukit Gombak under the PSP. I trained as a computer engineer in the United States, and I've been working in the technology world ever since. I will cover 3 areas. First, we heard a lot of things around technology. I'm going to talk a little bit about what we have been hearing, AI. How many of you have used ChatGPT here? Clap if you did. Clap louder if you did more. Thank you. I want to discuss that we need to ensure that no one in Singapore is left behind with the AI and technology divide. I worked with building the internet and AI when I was in school in the United States in the late 1980s, way before it became commonplace for all of us here. And in just 3 short years ago, and 2 years after COVID, how many of you remember COVID? 2 years after COVID, we see a brand new AI resurgence. And it is attracting everybody's attention. It is no longer a futuristic concept. It is here. AI is now reshaping communities, economies, workplaces, and dare I say, all of us on a daily basis, from virtual assistants and so on. Singapore has always invested in areas that the government thinks would add advantage to Singaporeans, such as semiconductors and biotech. Today, we are going head-on to become a hub for AI in this part of the world. We are racing forward very strongly in this, but there is a big question that we have to ask. Who is being left behind? who is being left behind. While some of us embrace the technology, there are a lot of us who struggle with it. I have seen this in my walkabouts. I've seen some of the senior citizens in Bukit Gombak struggling with using the mobile phone. It is not an easy thing to do. Eyesight may be an issue. Mobility becomes another issue. We use technologies daily. Remember, on May the 3rd, next week on Saturday, you can go and vote. When you go to vote, all you really need to do is bring your mobile phone. Why? Because you have SingPass. Why? Because SingPass will give you access to the IC. But just think about this. If you choose not to bring your NRIC, your physical IC, we have a problem, because what happens if your phone runs out of battery or the mobile network goes down? How are you going to identify yourself? We need to have this. Now, these are simple little things that we need to do. We need to educate our seniors to make sure we do this right. We cannot leave anybody behind. We live in a relatively high-trust society. Why do I say that? Looking at the amount of scams that we have seen, hundreds of millions of dollars being scammed away. Why is that so? We have a high level of trust in things that we see coming from official places. What we need to do is to educate our people to make sure that they recognize and are able to distinguish between truth and falsehoods. We in the PSP would want to work with you to make sure we are able to help you and educate you and work with you to ensure that you're not going to be challenged when we deal with technology, especially as it moves forward so rapidly. We cannot, again, we cannot leave anybody behind. This brings me to my second point, income equality. Income inequality in Singapore is already very high. If we don't have a good job if we don't do a good job navigating the AI revolution that we are seeing currently, it will deepen this inequality. We do not want to have this happen at all. If only a small fraction of the society can handle this, what about the rest of us? We need to make sure the rest of us are not left behind. Please repeat after me. No one is left behind. No one is left behind. Socially, exclusion breeds distrust and division, undermining the harmony that we cherish in this multiracial country of ours. PSP believes that progress cannot come at the cost of leaving people behind. Absolutely not. We may have to deal with jobs being replaced because of AI. What do we do to help those who get displaced? We must push forward with quality retraining. As my colleagues have also said, there is retraining available. But after you're retrained, are there opportunities? If there are no opportunities, what did I train for? It's a real issue that we do not have concrete and useful answers so far. If I'm elected an MP for Bukit Gombak, I'll set up a program together with my colleagues in the PSP with the residents of Bukit Gombak so that they can donate unused mobile phones, smartphones, laptops that we can repurpose and make available to those who really need it. I saw this in 2020 when COVID was happening. There were families that were having to do exams or lessons from home using a mobile phone. the child was using a mobile phone to have lessons delivered to the child. That is the wrong way to do anything, especially as a child. We don't want to leave anybody behind. That brings me to my third point. The fast pace of change is causing a lot of stress mentally for Singaporeans. This is something that we have seen, and as my colleagues have already mentioned, we need to address that. This is why PSP believes that we need to strengthen the support for mental health services. We call on the government to reduce the waiting time for subsidized appointments to see mental health professionals in the public hospitals, and to allow MediSave to be used for mental health treatments. My fellow Singaporeans, it takes a whole of society to help us navigate this challenge of mental health. I hope every Singaporean will step forward and make this happen for all of us. Singapore thrives in turning challenges into opportunities. Then here comes the AI, and this then brings the AI divide. We cannot have AI have and AI don't have. That is not acceptable. We cannot allow that bridge or that gap to be there. We must bridge it. To wrap up, I would like to say that I had proposed to have a debate with Ms. Low, who is my contestant in Bukit Gombak, on issues concerning Bukit Gombak. I'm looking forward to having the debate with her. For country, for people. Majulah, Singapura. Thank you.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, how are all of you feeling now? Do you want to hear more? Let me introduce to you the next speaker. He's the head of business development at a global company, but outside of his regional work, he's known to us as the president and founder of the Makan Association, with 8 Silat clubs training students across Singapore. You're such a big fan, huh? Put your hands together for Suma Leki Amja.
Where's the striker? Wan Chang Hao. Malay Wanakam. Salam Sejahtera. My fellow Singaporeans, residents of Marymount and Kebun Baru, good evening. My name is Sumarleki Amja, as what you have heard just now, but you can call me Lucky. I'm the PSP candidate for West Coast Jurong West GRC. I'm the head of process business and business development for multinational food and beverage company, and I look after the Southeast Asia and Middle East regions. I hold an MBA from Manchester University. Naturally, because of my job, I travel widely. I have fond memories of growing up in Singapore in the 80s. This is so random, right? Why? Because my topic today is cost of living, our favorite topic. In 1998, I was selected to go for an exchange program in Japan for about 1 month, 2 months. Back then, when I was there, I was so afraid to spend because Japan was so expensive. Just last month, my son came back from Japan for a holiday. And when I asked him, how was it? His first response was that Japan is cheaper than Singapore. This is ridiculous. In the past, Singapore was nowhere being amongst the most expensive cities in the world. However, from 2014, Singapore has consistently topped the Economist Intelligence Unit list for having the highest cost of living in the world. Don't boo me. Don't boo me. Okay? Of course, there are many factors contributing to the cost of living, right? Like the GST, right? Many other factors. But the primary driver at the heart of this issue is high property prices. This is the single primer for causing the high cost of living that we are facing today. When you go to the coffee shop and the price of your chai fan costs from $3.50 to $5, and for our Muslim brothers and sisters, nasi padang is already $10, right? It is partly because the person selling at the coffee shop has to pay a very high rent. And the rent has gone up too high that the prices has gone spiraling upwards. It is no fault of the seller because the landlord also bought the property at a very high price. Over the last 5 years, there have been multiple coffee shops all over Singapore sold for more than 40 million. I give you examples. 2002, a coffee shop in Tampines was sold for 41 million. 2023, a coffee shop in Serangoon, which is near here, was sold for 40.5 million. The new owner paid almost 10,000 per square foot. How can rents go up if the coffee shop are being bought? How can rents not go up if the coffee shops are being bought at such ridiculous prices? And when rents go up, the food sellers must also increase the prices of the food they sell. It is not the food seller that's making the profit. It is the value chain. It is the cost chain going up. This applies not just for coffee shops and food, but also for the shopping malls, cafes, restaurants, and even hawker centers. Our only avenue to find cheap, affordable food is also affected. It was reported that after the Thomson East Coast Line opened, rents at Parkway Parade Mall increased for some almost up to 30%. I've been working in the New Road area for almost 15 years. Right? For the first 10 years, it was a very nice, cozy neighborhood with very chic cafes. Very nice area for us to work, to play, as well as to dine. But for the past 3 years, especially after the second GST hike, I keep seeing cafes and restaurants, even the high-end ones, closing and new ones coming. Something is wrong. Something is seriously wrong here. Okay? So, we are not here just to complain, of course. Most of you know about this cost of living issue, right? There are many issues. What I'm here today is to share with you what are PSP's proposals to help Singaporeans reduce our cost of living. PSP, we propose that rent for hawker stalls should be set at $500 or 3% of gross revenue, whichever is higher. This will help the hawkers. Right now, hawker stall rents are set by tender. The highest bidder wins. Does this sound familiar to you? Yes, the COE system. And what happens to the car prices? Has gone through the roof. You've got it. Right? So, that's why in the news, you see that some hawker stalls have been rented out, have been renting for more than $10,000 per month. PSP, we want to change that. If we fix the rents for hawkers at $500 per month, we will reduce the cost for the hawkers, and we as consumers are most likely to enjoy the food affordably. Right? Let's say the government will counter with us saying that there are many bidders to the same hawker stalls. Then we ballot. The winner, we win, the winner will win by ballot. Isn't the government very good at balloting systems, right? So surely they can do this even for the hawker stalls. Secondly, we must build more hawker centers, especially in the newer housing estates. To be fair, in my area where I live, which is Bidadari Woodley, they've constructed a new hawker center, albeit a very new fashion style. But it shouldn't just be in Woodley or Bidadari. It should be all the new estates and also some at the older estates. Because at the root of it, if we lower rents to the hawkers, it may help drive down rents at the private coffee shops, privately owned coffee shops and food courts, because now there's a ripple effect. Hawker center prices go down, the food courts, privately owned, and the coffee shops cannot remain high. Overall, with this ripple effect, it may help to reduce overall prices for us Singaporeans. PSC has also proposed that guidelines should be set for annual rent increases for commercial properties. Okay? And this will help cap the rent increases on a yearly basis so that we can calibrate the rent increases year on year. My fellow Singaporeans, this is the most important message I would like to share with you. We should not pretend, the government should not pretend that they are a passive bystander in our cost of living crisis. When you go to the ballot box on the 3rd of May, think of the price of the plate of chicken rice that you wish to pay. If you want to pay $10, vote them. If you want affordable prices for you and your family, vote PSP. Vote for Progress for All. Vote for Progress Singapore Party. Saya sini. Terima kasih.
Thank you. Our next speaker, who's up next, he's the CEO of a regional risk consulting firm and held leadership positions over various MNCs, also served as the management committee of NUS Society. Please welcome our candidate for Marymount SMC, Jeffrey Khoo.
我的心里只有你，没有他。你要相信我的情意并不假，只有你才是我梦想，只有你才叫我牵挂。我的心里没有他。Marymount residents, I'm Jeffrey Khoo. 我心里只有你。 I'm so glad that our very first rally, our very first PSP rally, is here in Marymount. Marymount residents have a very special place in our hearts, in my heart. Let me speak a little bit about myself. I'm a 56-year-old graduate. I graduated from NUS with an honors degree, and I was on the Dean's List, which I did pretty well when I was younger. But as I went along in life also, like many of you, I also had tough times, right? But I'm not going to say I come from a poor family, I come from a middle-class family, okay? Okay, so I spent 3 decades in corporates and SMEs. I'm going to speak today in 2 languages. I'm going to start mainly with English, and then after that, I'll go with Mandarin, right? Allow me to start with a familiar experience of many Singaporeans. Let's call this Singaporean David. David spent 20 years, okay, carving out a career, rising to the role of a regional manager in a notable MNC. One day, a corporate announcement changed everything. the company was restructuring. For David, it was a loss of his job, his identity, his source of income, and his retirement plan. David launched an exhaustive job search. He combed through job boards, attended career fairs, and tapped every connection he had on his network. Multiple job applications every day. But there were no interviews, no calls, no emails, nothing. Employers seemed wary of hiring someone like him in his 40s, a seasoned professional with years of experience. David refused to stand still. He turned to SkillsFuture, determined to upgrade and diversify. He poured his energy into learning digital marketing, mastering data analytics, and earning various certifications. But despite all the shiny additions to his resume, the door to employment remained firmly closed. Meanwhile, in Singapore, life in Singapore moved relentlessly forward. Daily expenses, utility bills, and loan payments drained his savings at alarming speed. With both children to raise and parents to upkeep, the savings he had kept over these years was burning at both ends. Every morning, David would sit at his kitchen table with his laptop, a man searching for hope and answers. Nights were especially difficult as he lay awake, questioning his worth and battling the fear of failure. Yet, despite the hardship, David pressed on for his family, for the belief that change will come. David's story is not unique. It is the story of countless individuals across Singapore navigating the challenges of retrenchment, escalating costs, and a job market that often feels like an uphill climb. Expats can go back to their country of origin, but to David, Singapore is his only home. It is a place of his roots, his memories, and his relationships. And it is where he continues to fight for his future. I personally understand the pain for applying jobs and not getting good results. I feel the pain of many Singaporeans who are underemployed, knowing you deserve so much more, but have to settle for so much less. Something must change. We'll build a skyline that touches the clouds, but we have forgotten the hands that built it from the ground. They say Singapore runs like a business, but what is a business without its people? And if its people are weary, overworked, underpaid, can we still call this a success story? Today, many of us who have jobs work beyond our official hours. We work harder, sleep less, and live with a quiet fear, the fear of falling behind, the fear of being replaced. Burnout has become a badge we carry in silence. Job security has become a luxury. As for many, the ladder of success, we find it greased with every step forward. The cost of living pulls us back 2 steps. Job competition has increased. Wages stagnate. Food prices, rent, transport, all climbing faster than our pay. The numbers may look good on paper, the GDP may rise, just like the skyscrapers, but for what is growth if people do not feel it? What is prosperity if it leaves so many behind? PSP's vision for jobs. Every Singaporean deserves a living wage, as my colleagues have earlier said. We propose a minimum living wage of $2,250. With this, no worker should have to rely on supporting government schemes and vouchers just to get by. This allows Singaporeans to plan for the future and not panic about tomorrow. Let's tighten the fair consideration framework. With a stronger Singaporean first policy, we should introduce EP quotas per company, applying a monthly $1,200 levy on EP holders. and raise the EP salary bar to $10,000 a month so that only the top tier, the real talent, can enter Singapore. We welcome talent, but Singaporeans cannot be left behind. We should strive for a 40-hour week and not 44. 14 days minimum leave, up from the 7. Equal parental leave, 15 weeks per parent. And of course, introduce the right to disconnect, as my colleague has said. Respect our after-office hours. You deserve to be with your family, not glued to work emails long into the night. We need progress for all, not just for some. Like the Singaporean David I shared at the beginning of my speech, we are fighting a Goliath in this general election, a force that is highly entrenched, heavily financed, and deeply rooted. Marymount residents need to be braver to put a strong alternative into Parliament. Me. I stand here today with nothing to gain, but as Singaporeans, we have more to lose if we don't dare to change. To my supporters and also my critics, I thank you because I believe it is by listening to every side, even if it's uncomfortable, that we grow stronger, clearer, and more committed to building a shared future that serves all Singaporeans. On the ground, I will listen to you. And hopefully in Parliament, if I get there, I will speak for you. All I ask is for a chance to serve you. The future is in the palm of your hands. Thank you. And now, quickly in Mandarin. OK， 感谢各位出席今天的群众大会。我们在国家的关键时刻聚集一堂，生活成本已成为许多新加坡人关注的问题。新加坡前进党与你们站立在一起，我们致力于正面应对这些挑战。过去几年，新加坡的生活成本急剧上升，从食品、杂货到水电等日常必需品都变得更加昂贵，薪水又没有相对的提升，随多家庭因现金流的压力造成钱不够的情况。PSB 推出我们的竞选口号：携手前进，提出了60多项政策建议，以解决这些问题，其中包括消费税 GST 从9%降到7%的提议，逆转2023和2024时的税率上调。这项措施旨在减轻家庭，特别是低收入家庭的负担。我们也建议对大米和婴儿配方奶粉等必需品免征消费税。PSB, you can clap for that one. PSB 还建议加强社会安全网，以确保弱势群体在困难时期能够获得足够的支持。这些举措还包括住房、工资、医疗保险、医疗保健方面的广泛改革，旨在解决财务压力的根本原因。我们的政策建议体现了对公平和同情的承诺，通过优势考虑补充新加坡人的需求。我们旨在建立一个共享进步的社会，让每个人都能有尊严的生活。让我们携手应对生活成本问题。 马利蒙需要一个没有受到党鞭约束或上级压抑的候选人，为人民发声。我可以做马利蒙居民的声音，在国会为居民争取最高的福利。3月3日当天，您的一票是神圣的。我邱保忠，前进党，诚恳的希望能得到您的一票支持。谢谢你们。
How are all of you feeling? For the next speaker, she graduated first class in mathematics from Cambridge and in Parliament has fought tirelessly as an NCMP, raising tough questions on housing, cost of living, education, governance. The list goes on. Please welcome Hazel Poa.
Hazel, we love you.
各位亲爱的新加坡同胞们，大家晚上好，我是前进党的潘群琴。小的时候当我母亲工作时，我是由我外祖母带大的，而她就住在哥本巴鲁。后来我上爱童小学以及圣尼科拉女中，也都是在哥本巴鲁。这里有着我童年和青少时期的记忆，处处带着我的亲人和我的朋友们的身影。所以不久之前，当我在考虑竞选单选区时，就很希望能够在哥本巴鲁竞选。所以大约1年前，我与我先生开始在哥本巴鲁走访，想进一步了解哥本巴鲁的近况。而马利蒙呢，则是我与我先生工作的地方。我们创业时的第一间教育中心就是在马利蒙。到如今已经有20多年的历史了。不久前，我在马利蒙做家访时，就碰到了从前的学生，如今都已长大成人，踏入社会了。这2个地方对我来说都是很特别的地方，所以我很高兴，前进党能为这里的居民带来2位优秀的候选人，以供选择。虽然我这么形容自己的先生有点厚颜，请大家多多包涵。我也不再多说了，一会儿就由梁文辉进一步介绍2位候选人。接下来我将以英语发言。Dear Singaporeans, good evening. I'm Hazel Poa from PSP. Thank you for gracing us with your presence here tonight at PSP's very first rally. Today, I would like to discuss an important aspect of Singapore's governance, the enduring dominance of PAP in Singapore politics. PAP has been governing Singapore for 66 years. Many of us have never experienced a Singapore that was not governed by the PAP. Myself, for example, when I was born, PAP was already the ruling party. As I grew up, I witnessed the economic transformation of Singapore. Our public housing program also brought great changes to our social landscape. Many people's lives got better, but there were also chilling moments in my youth that brought fear. Some Singaporeans were arrested without trial. Adults around me told me not to get involved in politics. Opposition representation was non-existent when I was a child and was very small even by the time I entered politics. Of course, a lot of time has passed since then, but even now, opposition is severely underrepresented. At the last GE in 2020, PAP won 60% of the votes, but that translated into 90% of the elected seats. So even though 40% of the population voted for opposition, only 10% of the elected seats were held by opposition MPs. This distorted result is due to our first-past-the-post voting system. The PAP's dominance in Parliament is likely to continue for some time to come. Now, what does this dominance truly mean for us? On the positive side, it ensures continuity in our policies and fosters stability. On the negative side, it allows the ruling party to put and keep in place rules that create an unlevel playing field and hinder fair political competition. Singaporeans, we take pride in meritocracy. But meritocracy can only exist where there is fair competition. Only when competition is fair can the best person win, rather than the person who has the best connections or the person who has the most money or any other advantage not related to ability. Do we have fair competition in Singapore? What do you think? Yes or no? Let's take a look at one example, the review of electoral boundaries. Is it fair for SMCs where opposition perform well to have a much higher chance of being absorbed into a GRC at the next election? Various opposition members have labored for years in SMCs, building rapport with the residents only to find all the effort gone to waste. A recent example is Bukit Batok SMC, where Dr. Chee Soon Juan contested in 2016 and 2020. This year, Bukit Batok SMC has been absorbed into Jurong East Bukit Batok GRC, and Dr. Chee has had to start afresh in Sembawang West SMC. If this were an isolated incident, it would not be quite so worrying, but it is not. Historical data tells us that this is a pattern. Statistics tell us that this is not random. I have presented these statistics in Parliament in August 2024 when I filed a motion on electoral boundaries review. During the electoral boundaries review debate, when the leader of the opposition, Pritam Singh, asked Minister Chan Chun Sing directly in Parliament whether there is gerrymandering in Singapore, the minister did not reply directly. He did not state categorically that there is no gerrymandering. He merely described for us again the existing process of reviewing boundaries. What does that tell you when the minister is unable to declare in Parliament that there is no gerrymandering in Singapore? So the question facing us is, has decades of PAP dominance affected the independence of the EBRC? And what about other important institutions? Democracy works on the basis of division of power and a system of checks and balances. Part of the system is the independence of various key institutions, the public service, the judiciary, key appointments like the Attorney General, Accountant General, Auditor General, the President, etc. The media and the union should also be independent in order to perform their roles wholeheartedly. If the independence of key institutions and appointments are compromised, our democracy is compromised. A pervasive interconnectedness also limits the space for individuals to be independent-minded. Take another example. Nominated members of Parliament are supposed to be non-partisan. Their existence in Parliament was justified on the basis of bringing non-partisan views into Parliament. However, the recent resignations by 2 NMPs in the middle of their terms have thrown doubts on this. One is running as a PAP candidate, and another originally applied to join the PAP, but later decided against running, probably due to the public outcry. PAP's political dominance has also given them the ability to change the constitution whenever they want and however they want. To change the constitution, we need the approval of at least 2/3 of the MPs, or 67%. PAP representation in Parliament exceeds that threshold easily. This has enabled them to change the criteria for the elected president and reserved the presidential election 2017 for Malay candidates only. And our poor chairman got his name changed by some netizens. Instead of Dr. Tan Cheng Bock, they call him Dr. Tan Cheng Blocked. In the 2011 presidential election, Dr. Tan Cheng Bock lost narrowly to Dr. Tony Tan. In the 2017 presidential election, he was blocked from contesting due to changes in the criteria. In the 2020 general elections, Dr. Tan Cheng Bock, together with 4 other team members, Mun Wai, Jeffrey, who is our candidate for Marymount, Logan and myself, narrowly lost in West Coast GRC. But today, he is here to fight again. We are here to fight again. This is the spirit that he has passed on to PSP. You may knock us with your might, but we will get up and fight again. For 2 general elections in a row, the PAP has moved a deputy prime minister to a new GRC at the last minute to try and improve its chances of winning. Is the GRC system meant to just ensure multiracial politics? Or does it also help to entrench the PAP's dominance? PAP's dominance is especially worrying when it is accompanied by falling standards. Many Singaporeans have observed that the current PAP is different from the old PAP. My colleague Mun Wai will talk more about this later. Dear voters of Marymount and Kebun Baru, please help us bring more opposition into Parliament to check on the PAP government, to bring more Singaporean voices into Parliament, and to bring up alternative viewpoints. More ideas and more perspectives are needed, especially in uncertain times. PAP MPs cannot take a position that is different from their party position, but our candidates can if they are elected into Parliament. Our PSP candidates will stand up for you if it is in your best interest. They can represent you and bring your voices into Parliament even when your views are different from the establishment's. Vote for PSP. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Hazel. Can I have one round of applause for our NCMP, Hazel? Our next speaker, he's been relentless, just relentless. I don't know what other term to use. As an NCMP, question the government on everything. Cost of living, jobs, wages, housing, and even national reserves. Frankly, the list is never ending. The most tenacious person we know. Please welcome Leong Mun Wai.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, fellow Singaporeans and residents of Karuppan Baru, SMC, and Marymount SMC. Saudara-saudara dan saudari-saudari, selamat malam. Terima kasih atas sungguhan Anda untuk PSP。亲爱的哥本巴鲁，还有马里蒙区的居民，还有来自全新加坡的同胞们，大家晚上好。I'm overwhelmed by the emotions to be able to stand here today to speak to all of you. It hasn't been an easy journey for me and PSP. But I have all of you, many of you, to cheer me on over the last 5 years. Thank you. Thousands of Singaporeans have given me the thumbs up, stepped forward to shake my hands, and even talk to me. I would like to thank all of you for your support and encouragement. You are the ones that have kept me going and given me the courage to hang in there when the going was tough. If I have made a difference, you are the ones who have enabled it. Thank you. Today, I'd like to tell you what I've learned from my almost 5 years in Parliament. My time in Parliament has convinced me that the 4G PAP has really lost its way. The more I debate the government, the 4G PAP government, the more I realize that it is not the government, not the grade A government that we used to know. On the governance front, we can see a general decline in the standards in accountability, competence, and ethics in recent years. First, there appears to be poor coordination across ministries. It seems like a long time ago, but I hope people still remember about Trace Together during the COVID period. In June 2020, SM Teo Chee Hian and Dr. Vivian Balakrishnan told Singaporeans that Trace Together data would be used for contact tracing only. But in February 2021, Dr. Balakrishnan told Parliament that the police has used the data once. And he already knew this around October 2020, but he didn't tell Singaporeans. The Trace Together episode raises serious questions about the coordination between ministries today. At the start, the government acted in its typical fashion. Trust us. Don't worry. Everything is okay. Please just use the Trace Together. Everything will be okay. Then they found out that they make a mistake. But for many months, they kept quiet about the mistake. And then they come back, say sorry, and ask Parliament to urgently pass a bill to cover their mistake. In the end, no political office holder took responsibility. We again saw poor coordination across ministries and agencies in December 2024, when Accra mistakenly disclosed the full NIRC number of many Singaporeans after misinterpreting a circular from the MDDI. No political office holder came out publicly to take responsibility again. The competence of certain government agencies and government-linked companies also become questionable. One of them is LTA. LTA has had a series of missteps in the past few years. For example, in January 2024, the LTA announced they was going to push the full adoption of the Simply Go system. But many Singaporeans were unhappy because Simply Go cards cannot display cards balances and deducted fares at MRT gantries and the bus card readers. A few weeks later, LTA had to backtrack and postpone these plans for full adoption. The competence of the LTA and SMRT was called into further question when the East-West MRT line broke down for 6 days in a row in September 2024, which affected millions of commuters. The long breakdown was due to a faulty train component, which caused damage to the tracks between Jurong East and Buona Vista stations. It exposed the fact that the East-West line is the only MRT access for the west to the other parts of Singapore. And not only that, in February 2025, just a few months after the 6-day breakdown, there were 3 breakdowns within a week on the North-South line, North-East line, and Circle lines. As the MRT system is the key public transport mode for Singaporeans, there is much expectation that LTA and SMRT should do better than this. The problem of our MRT system actually started around 2011. Then Transport Minister Lui Tak Yew had called for a committee of inquiry after a twin MRT disruption in December 2011, which affected 200,000 commuters compared to the few millions in the breakdown in September 2024. After the breakdowns in 2024 and this year, I asked Minister Chee Hon Tat whether we should convene a similar committee of inquiry. The minister said, no need, because there are no systemic failures within SMRT or SMS or SPS transit. Do you agree with him? As compared to the previous generations of PAP leaders, there is less and less accountability by the 4G leaders on how decisions are taken and who are responsible. The best example is the recent income alliance deal, which I debated with the government intensively in Parliament. We almost sold income insurance to Allianz, and they plan to execute a $1.85 billion capital reduction after the purchase. In simple terms, buy first, take out $1.85 billion from inside and give back to the shareholders, including Allianz. I would call that asset stripping. More importantly, this $1.85 billion was part of the capital left behind in income insurance to fulfill its social mission. The government had come out in October 2024 to reject the deal. And during the debate, we were told that apparently the NTUC Central Committee didn't know about the capital reduction plan at all. But the NTUC Secretary General, Mr. Ng Chee Meng, is on both the Central Committee of NTUC and also the board of NTUC Enterprise, which is the parent company of income insurance, which made the decision to sell income to Allianz. So Mr. Ng Chee Meng should have known about the capital reduction. If he had known the capital reduction plan, he didn't tell the Singaporeans in August 2024 when he said that the Income Allianz deal was good for income and good for Singaporeans. There also seems to be a lowering of standards under this government. For example, why did PM Lee let Mr. Tan Chuan Jin to carry on as Speaker from February to July 2023, when he has already accepted Speaker Tan's resignation in February 2023? While PM Lee may have his reasons, he is compromising the standard of government. The Rida Road saga is another troubling example. As the saying goes, people in high office must not only be doing the right things, they must be seen to be doing the right things. While there may be nothing wrong legally about Minister Shanmugam and Minister Vivian Balakrishnan renting their black and white bungalows from the government, it would be better if they do not do that. They should not place themselves in a position where they could be questioned by the public, even though there may be no special favors granted to them. And on the social-economic front, I felt that the 4G government has little compassion for Singaporeans. PSP stands for compassion. And in Parliament, some ministers have said compassion is not the monopoly of the opposition. But I can show you a lot of examples why the PAP government, in terms of social-economic policies, have shown little compassion to Singaporeans. A very good example is when this government pushed through the GST hike in Budget 2022, even though it was clear that world inflation was spiking up, and Singaporeans have hardly regained their footing after COVID. PSP proposed that the GST hike in 2022, we opposed the GST hike in 2022 and proposed that we should bring the GST now from 9% back to 7%. The government also took the opportunity of the GST hike to increase property tax in the name of wealth tax, when most of the burden of the tax has fallen on middle-class Singaporeans, especially retirees. And in doing all this, the government actually is in a very strong financial position, a fact I've explained in a full motion on public finance in February 2024. The government is also not compassionate when it comes to jobs and wages policies. The government must put more focus on preserving jobs for Singaporeans. When anyone loses their job and cannot find a comparable one quickly, they could face many financial and family problems. Jobs are the foundation of human dignity. Let me wrap up by saying a few words in Cantonese. 親愛的新加坡同胞們，現在嘅第四代人民行動黨領導人，政府已經唔似以前嘅人民行動黨政府啦。現在的政府在治理水平同辦事能力都好似有咗好大嘅退步。更重要嘅係不能體恤民情，只會加重人民的負擔。前進黨認為，我哋可以通過政策改善人民嘅生活，但行動黨卻不以為然。大選之後，人民行動黨仍然會組織下一屆政府，但係我哋需要更多的反對黨在國會發出不同嘅聲音，探討更好嘅政策，幫助新加坡人實現更好嘅生活同前程。如果你認為前進黨能為你貢獻一份力量，請多多支持前進黨，請投前進黨一票。多謝大家。
I'm sure the debate could go on and on in Cantonese, but it's still a rally. We keep time. Can we have one round of applause more for Leong Mun Wai? Our final speaker is Bock. He was a humble doctor serving families in the Ama King village of Lim Chu Kang. Spent 26 years in Parliament, fighting for issues for everyday Singaporeans, free HDB parking on Sundays, to letting parents use their CPF for children's education. In 2019, he founded the Progress Singapore Party, which my colleagues and I are proud to serve. Please rise and welcome our chairman and founder, Dr. Tan Cheng Bock.
Thank you. Stella, thank you very much. You have heard my candidates here for this coming general election. You can see the quality of the opposition that's going to Parliament. Now, tonight I'll speak in English. I can't speak Cantonese, though my wife is a Cantonese, and my Hokkien is gangster Hokkien, so I better not use Hokkien. Okay, many people may be wondering, at my age, by the way, I'll be 85 in 2 days' time, that I should be here, standing here and asking you to vote for a party I established in 2019. Now, I think we have a responsibility, because if we know something is not correct, I cannot just walk away. So I told my men, if you see something is wrong, you got to fix it. And I cannot leave this world without doing things I think it is wrong. And I worry for our grandchildren and our children. So that is why I set up this political party to see how best we can correct some of the things that are not proper in this government. I set up this party is because I honestly feel the PAP has lost its way. I was there for 26 years. It sounds strange that I should leave a party that I held for 26 years. But I feel that the PAP has definitely lost its way. Now, the PAP is not the same as the time when I was a member of parliament in 1980. We had a group of PAP assemblymen, we call them, and they were very articulate. They spoke for the people. We have Lawrence here. I don't know whether you understand. You all remember. We have Enkarting. We have Eric Chong. Now, we challenged the government of the day then, although we were in the PAP. That is what I always believe. The members of parliament who go into parliament must do that and not just toe the line. You see, in 1990, I voted against the nominated members of parliament. That's the reason why I voted against. Because if you want to get into the House and speak for all of you, you must get a mandate. You cannot just expect to be put in the House and speak for the people. It's definitely wrong. I voted against it. I was cautioned. I was reprimanded. But I had to make that stand because that to me is wrong. We have changed the pattern of parliament, and that is not right. You know, during our time again, members of parliament, they come from all walks of life. But doctors, lawyers, ordinary men in the street. But now you look at the people that the PAP has selected to be representative of the parliament. Where do they come from? They come from the civil service. They come from the army, SAF. They come from allied civil service organizations. This is dangerous. There will be group thinking. To me, it is inbreeding. And when there's inbreeding, there is no way you can change policies within that system. For this reason, you must vote opposition. For this reason, You must get us into the House to correct that system. Now, Mun Wai has spoken about NTUC, which is something I always thought was wrong in the arrangement where NTUC wanted to sell off this organization. And I remembered the person who really established this. He's Dr. Goh Keng Swee. You must give credit to Goh Keng Swee because he always served the people first. He may be, I clashed with him in Parliament. I challenged him about his education system. I told him that his education system is going to stratify our society. He got angry with me. But later on in life, he told me I was right. So you see, that is the quality of ministers that we have in the old days. They recognize that even MP's ideas has got value. So what I'm trying to say is that we got to search for people, good quality people, to go into the House. And I took a lot of time trying to find good people to join my small party so that we can put good people there and challenge the ideas. And I'm glad that Mun Wai and Hazel, do you know how difficult for two of them to go into Parliament? Do you know the amount of parliamentary wounds that they have taken? So much. I feel sorry for them. But I say, carry on. Because it is for the good of the country. Don't be afraid. Parliamentary wounds will heal. You will gain traction. You will get the people to support you. People recognize good people. So you will get quality opposition members from my small party. And from that small party, I hope it will bring good debate in the House to make sure that you all, your cost of living, your education system, your health system will be thoroughly examined. So that all of you will be, we have to bring you along, as my colleagues say, we will not leave anyone behind. Now, they have asked a lot of questions and debated the PAP on many things. Let me just go over it because I think these are important issues you've got to fully understand. That's going to affect you in the future. Your foreign worker policy, your cost of living, your HDB flats, your prices, MRT breakdowns, PSLE, corruption cases. All these Mun Wai and Hazel have debated in the House. And they will continue to do it if they get elected. And with a stronger mandate. You must add value to your vote for them. You know, these two of them, they gave all the salaries to us because our party is poor. They didn't take a cent. That is the quality of the people whom PSP will send to the House. And I think money is something which I always very, very concerned. One of the reasons why I left the PAP is when I find that everything we talk about is money. I think that is not correct because I think let us look at the concern of the people. And I'm sure when we get into the House, Parliament is going to be different. And we'll join force with Workers' Party and all those who are elected to make sure that the issues concern you people will get the attention of the government. Why? Because we hear you. I don't know whether they hear you or not. And this, we cannot take for granted. So I always ask my men, when you go round these flats, please take note of what are their concerns, no matter how small. You have heard some, I actually wanted to introduce some of my members here, but I think you should, you have heard them. There's Lecky. Yeah. I'm talking about my West Coast team. There's Abbas. Yeah. Nala. And Harish. I mentioned them because I want to raise a point with you all. Because many in the beginning questioned PSP as a racist party. Are we a racist party? But they want to label us. And you all must be careful. PAP is very smart in labeling people. So we must make sure that the label don't stick. We will have to tell them that PSP is not a racist party. PAP stands for what? For national issues. To bring to the parliament all the national issues of importance. And for the last 5 years, we have not shied away from questioning the government on sensitive issues like CICA and the CMIO policy. Now, on the surface, these look very no racial elements. Because of that, some of them may be deterred from speaking up on these subjects. But PSP believes that issues like CICA and CMIO affect the well-being and livelihood of every Singaporean. That is why we have been fearless in asking questions on these issues in Parliament. I don't know, no more time? Okay, give me just a few seconds. Let me wrap it up. Then I know time is, I think it's about time. Thank you so much. Now, way back in 1985, which seems quite a long time, but I was there from 1980. I said, running a country is not, oh, I've got a time here. Stop, time is up. But I think I should steal a little few minutes. I said running a country is not running like a company. We cannot sack our people if they are less effective. Our responsibilities go beyond that. We must help them. So with that note, I thank you all for coming. And I'm sure over this couple of days, we will be having rallies. We will go around and we want to convince Singaporeans that PSP, small but effective. Thank you.
Can we have one more round of applause for Bock, as well as our candidates standing for the election? Thank you all for being here. Tonight was more than a rally. We're also giving out free PSP jute bags at the side near our merchandise store. It's for free. You can take this home. It's lovely. You can put groceries inside, go home with it. We hope today has given you something to hope for, vote for. Do you want to hear more from them this week? If yes, please go down to our Chua Chu Kang rally this Saturday evening. We hope to see you there. Take care, everybody. Have a good night. Who's like this?
Come on.